Welcome to Forever Unbreakable, part number 2 of the previous podcast. This is a very, very separate conversation. The last one was more of a bullshit laugh around session, have a couple of drinks. This one is more about leadership development type stuff, and then about whether or not we should be giving out participation awards. So it's an awesome episode. Take it to you right now. So enjoy. Let's talk about the leadership side of things quick, because it's been like one of the new things that I've gotten a bunch of questions about what are good leadership techniques, what are bad leadership techniques, how do you know that you're a good leader, how do you know that you're a bad leader, and things like that. But I just want to kind of talk about like what is something that you've seen in your life that has changed the way that you would lead people in the future or would want to be led in the future. And so we'll start with you, Dan, since I got the opportunity to hear yours and I like it a lot.
So the best leaders in my life are shitbags. No BS. So I can have a shitty ass leader that hazes soldiers, and I'm gonna say soldiers because my whole career was just being in the military. I haven't had a civilian job before.
Yeah.
So I really thank the shitbags because they really showed me what not to do as a leader. So, growing up as a young private in the military, I see certain leaders do certain things, and I really think to myself, oh, I should never fucking do that when I'm a leader, so thank you so much. I really wish I can talk to these shitbags and thank them for being a piece of shit. So, being a leader is doing the right thing, not doing the shitbag way, just because it makes you feel good.
Yeah, no, and I have to agree, because the worst leader that I ever had has probably taught me the most.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because I was like, I'm never going to do this to the people that I lead. Like, I'm never going to be that person. I'm going to, do everything in my power to avoid being that shitty leader.
Leadership's all about respect and earning the respect of your guys, whether it's the military, whether it's Apex, Heat and Air, you have employees or Unbreakable employees, or whatever you have for Fourth HUA.
Yeah, someday I'll have employees.
Yeah, or for Fourth HUA, you have people that look up to you and listen to you, and you earn that because of the respect you give them, and they give it in return.
Absolutely.
So respect is number one key in leadership to me, and everything else falls into place.
No, I fully agree, man. It's paramount.
Absolutely.
And it goes both ways. As soon as they respect, you give them respect, and when they respect you, they will follow you into battle.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're all adults, and I'm going to treat somebody like an adult and with the respect they deserve. And if they show me otherwise, then we'll do some type of counseling or something like that, but we'll do it respectively. So, we're all adults, and we all deserve to be treated the same way.
No, exactly.
So,
I fully agree. All right, Chris, you're up. You've had an hour plus now to think about it.
Listen to Dan. I forgot what the question even was.
I'm not that dumb. I just want to go to Mars.
Hey.
Leaders go to Mars.
That's the definition of a leader.
And then they become the president.
No, best leader I've ever had was, honestly, he kind of took me under his wing, and it was a lot of one-on-one, since I was 19 years old, I've had technical jobs, and a lot of, just the way I learn, just the way I take things in, I need to be shown how to do them. And that's the way I learn. And one thing to do as a leader is to learn how your, subordinates learn. And that's one thing that I took to heart when I was put in a leadership role. I would sit there and I would put guys in situations, and if he didn't learn anything that way, I wouldn't teach him that way. If he learned another way, if it was, hey, he reads the publication and he fucking gets it, let him go. Or if it was, hey man, I just don't get what I'm reading, I don't get this. You just have to learn your people.
So basically you adapt.
Yeah, you have
on
to.
how your subordinate works.
Everybody needs to be led differently.
Right.
Nobody is the same.
Yeah.
That's, my mentor, he was amazing. I used to sit there and take tests, and he would write up tests for me. He didn't do that for anybody else, but he saw that was the best way I learned.
That's what you needed.
He took that time out of his day to write up tests for me, and I would read the publication, and then he would show me how you do it. And I learned faster than anybody in my unit. I was probably one of the more junior guys, but I had a billet that was above most of those guys. I had a billet I was an E3, and I had an E4, E5 billet.
Yeah.
You know, like that was just because he found what just made me click, and I went.
Dude, and that's what makes one of the things that makes great leaders by my eyes is learning, and people have heard this in previous episodes, is learning that every individual needs to be led differently. And you've got to tailor to the way that they learn, and that's the best way to lead them and mentor them throughout life.
Honestly, even when like I coached Connor's baseball team the past, I coached summer and fall this year, and some of these kids, you can't yell at them. Some of them you can get after them.
Yeah.
You need to learn how one of these kids, he didn't like to be yelled at or didn't like when you raised his voice, but if you would sit there and talk to him one-on-one and say, hey, next time you're up to bat, move back in the box and wait for the pitch to come to you, and you would just see you could almost see it in his eyes, and he'd just be like, oh.
But when you first started coaching, I bet you were like,
"Oh,
do this." So
I was hitting ground balls to these kids, and like they were all sitting there talking in the outfield. I smacked one like probably 5 feet from this kid, and I was like, "You paying attention? You paying attention?" Sorry if I just yelled in the mic.
No, you're good.
I was like, "You paying attention? You're gonna sit there and talk all day?" And I was just like, "Whoa!" Because this
calm down a little bit.
8 years old.
Going all DI on that ass.
I just smacked the ground ball as hard as I could.
I believe we're playing Game 7 of the World Series every game. Like we're playing in the Super Bowl every game, and I don't know how to lose, and I don't accept losing from my teammates.
Bro, the shuffleboard record is on the wall.
Yeah.
Who's playing, homie?
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
But yeah, no, that's how you have to adapt and learn your subordinates, and that's not what that will make you a great leader. There's definitely a lot more that goes into being a leader.
It's something that you have to have. It's a characteristic that you have, and it's not something that you're born with. I believe it's something that you learn through your leadership trials, that you have to change the way you lead for every individual.
Absolutely. Like I didn't know it, but I saw the way that, my mentor brought me up, and I was like, oh, like I didn't even know how to use some certain tools, and I was like, I don't fucking know. And then he's just that's the one thing, if you see a guy, take a guy under your wing, that's always a good leadership. I mean,
I got a guy right now that's in RAS. His name's Alex.
Yeah.
Shout out to him if he's listening to this shit.
Yeah, it's always.
Make him listen to it.
I mean,
he did the ruck march with me last year.
Nice. And he's in RASP right now.
Yeah, he's on holdover right now for RAS. He graduated OSIT and didn't go to airborne school yet. He's in RASP. And big shout out to him for making it.
Now they make him go to RASP first.
Yeah, I didn't know how that worked.
Yeah, they changed it because
you were one of the only guys when you went to
people were going to airborne school, and then they weren't showing up to RASP. They were just taking the airborne school and then like going to needs of the Army with the airborne wings, or just going to RASP for like day one, and then as soon as they get to Coal Range, they're like, I fail, I quit. And so now they're like, if you want to go to airborne school, you need to graduate RASP, and then you're assigned a regiment. Then we'll send you to airborne school.
Yeah, right. Alex DeRocher is his name.
Nice.
He's in RASP holdover. Shout out to him.
Yeah,
You're still a pussy, but when you make it,
But you'll be a man.
I'll be fucking happy when you make it. I mean, you're fucking...
Once you get to throw that scroll on your shoulder.
You're a shitbag for right now, but once you make it, you'll have my respect.
Just think, hey, if you don't make it, you're going to the 82nd Airborne. Well, no, you ain't even going there because you ain't airborne qualified.
Yeah, right?
Your ass is going 101st.
Or 10th Mountain.
Yeah.
So in the Army, do you guys have like mentee-mentor programs and stuff?
No, the programs don't really
big
exist.
Dicks, small dicks.
Like, yeah, exactly.
So like that was even one thing. I don't know if there's, even as a leader, if you have, I always kind of model my stuff from my experiences, but we had mentee-mentor programs, and that was always a way to know your subordinates, if it's, because it's small unit leadership, maybe you have that, maybe you're the boss, but you have, 3 guys that are under you that are in manager positions, and then they have two mentees, and they kind of, hey, let's go have a drink after work, or hey, how are the kids doing? Hey, everything going good at home, or hey, just wanted to see how you're doing out of work, or how's your mom doing? I know she's sick. And you kind of get to know your subordinates, and you kind of build that bond a little bit.
Yeah.
Giving a shit goes along.
I think the mentor-mentee programs are really good, but like me personally, I don't like it when somebody assigns me a mentor, because that mentor could be a shitbag.
Your personalities won't click.
What I like is like the ability to select my own mentor. And I select mentors all the time for various reasons in different pieces of my life, where I'm like, this person is critical for my development. So like where Jason and I became good friends was actually I selected Jason to be a mentor of mine for a period of time, and it still continues on to this day. Like I called Jason.
Expired now.
Yeah, fuck you. I called Jason about things that that I want mentorship advice on. Like, how do I, like, you've led a company through, tough times and good times, and like right now my platoon is in a good time, but I want to take them to the next level. Like, what did you learn in your civilian job that I can maybe use? And maybe he's not able to give me something at that time, and maybe he is. And if he's not, then I turn to another mentor that I have, or maybe I've turned to a different mentor first and they weren't able to provide me something, and then I called Jason next and I'm like, hey, what have you been in a scenario like this where everything's jiving, but you want to take them, yet another level? Because like, I don't ever want to be complacent in my leadership styles at that level. And so I turn to people that I know have extensive amounts of time in leadership. And the reason why I say Jason for last in the leadership circle here is because Jason's been forced into a leadership role from the beginning when he started the company at a young age. And I think that, through that, like, to say that you're not a shitty leader when you first step into a leadership role is ignorant, because it gets to your head.
Absolutely.
It's like, I'm the fucking man in charge.
Yeah, or you just have no idea how to do it.
Game?
Peak check.
Yeah.
No, man, same. I mean, you and I both know the last time that one of those phone calls was sent one way or another was me calling you. And actually, I think technically you called me, but I unloaded on you with all my all my questions and issues, and we have a lot of those great conversations. So I appreciate all that stuff. It's awesome. It's a two-way street, brother.
Likewise, because you learn these different techniques that work or don't work. Where like, somebody like yourself, Dan, or Chris, either one of you guys too, at the same time, can be like, man, dude, like. Because I could tell you, hey, here's what I'm trying, and I'm not seeing progress. And you're like, stop. Like, I tried that. It's fucking epic fail, but here's how I corrected from it. And it got buy-in from the guys to accomplish more. Because, well, scenarios are different. They have common underlying things. Like the respect to respect, huge, and the only way that you're going to get respect. And to show them that you're willing to do the same hard work that they're willing to do. And it's that same thing of like, every individual has to be led differently. Some people need the ass chewing, and that's just the result of what they need. And some people need more of the, just a simple adult conversation. Yeah. Hey man, you fucked up. I'm disappointed in you. Right. Like when somebody says that they're disappointed in me, that's probably like the dagger that motivates me the most. Yeah. If you tell me you're disappointed in me, I'm going to do everything in my power to fix it, and fix it immediately. And like, that's what works for me.
That's the same way as me. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You can yell at me all the fuck you want.
I need an ass chewing.
I'm going to give you that ass chewing, boy.
Noted.
Oh, not that kind of ass chewing.
I said that with my boss in here.
Yeah. So notice that he didn't call you the best leader.
No, that would be accurate.
I almost asked that too. Like, are we talking about Jason here?
No. Well, what are we going to be honest? Are we going to be honest? Or are we going to kiss each other's asses?
Yeah.
Do I think he's a good leader? Yes. Do I think he's the best leader I've ever had? No.
No, that's it.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't
take it if you offered it.
Yeah, I wouldn't sugarcoat it because that. I mean.
Because I like to win. Yeah. Bro, I don't like to be second place.
That's not a real win. That's a cheat.
I'm a fucking winner.
Yeah. But for real,
like that's the thing. Like, do I think that he helped me to where I am today as a leader? Because yeah, I do.
Yeah, but like Dan said, everybody does. And I'm not, that's not like I'm making a joke. Like I was one of those shitty leaders that taught you how not to do it. And I don't mean that, but like everybody that you come in contact with has some impact on your ability to lead people down the road. You're gonna learn something. You're gonna learn how to fuck it up, or you're gonna learn how to do it right, but you're gonna learn something.
Yeah, and it's super important.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a different leader than I am today compared to when I was 17 years old as an E3 as a fucking team leader
Yeah.
on a Ranger team.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, they put me in. Yeah, how fucking stupid are they?
How about that? How's that
You
going
know.
to go?
Right? I mean, I got pushed into an E5 role at an E3 because we were losing so many guys. But that made me who I am today.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah, you're gonna mess up.
Yeah. So talk about your biggest leadership learning.
You know, kind of what Dan said.
Max Muscle.
You know, Dan at Max Muscle taught me a lot about leadership and muscle and Max. A little bit like what Dan had said. I've learned as much from people that were absolutely horrible at leading people as I have from people who were actually good at it. And the other thing is, a lot of the people that I didn't think were exceptional leaders when I met them initially, or when I was being led by them, I look back later on down the road and I was like, I just wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready to be led. So leaders succeed and fail based on their merits, but also the merits of their team. And that goes into, I'm going to touch base on both things actually, because that goes into what Chris, was talking about. Everybody's different. Everybody needs to be led differently. So I probably came in contact early in my career with leaders who were really, really good at leading people, but not good at leading me. And I resented them until down the road when I realized, like, oh, okay, like you start to realize that I just wasn't good at being led at that point. So you have to understand your audience. You have to understand the people that you're dealing with and what their strengths and weaknesses are. If you're not going to succeed in leading someone who's not ready to be led, so you have to just, in some cases, allow them to stay in that holding pattern that they're in their life until they're ready to be led. So you can fail as a leader by trying to lead people that aren't ready for the material that you're giving them. Where I've personally failed dramatically, I've expected people who work for me to adopt the same principles or the same attitude about work that I always had. Countless times I've said, you don't want to do all these things. Well, I did all this shit for 10 years. That doesn't matter. That's meaningless. Everybody takes their own path. Everybody makes their own decisions that lands them where they want to go or where they are in their life. Whether or not it's where they want to go, I don't know. But I'll say that I've made the mistake of expecting people to buy in at the same price at which I bought in. And when it's my company, there's no way that I could ever expect that from my people. So what you really have to ask for is the maximum bandwidth essentially that they have available to give you. And I find that far more people are achieving at a higher percentage of their capacity than are achieving at the higher percentage of the capacity that's expected of them. So you have to know what to expect of people. You have to know whether or not they're ready to be led. And then at that point, you have to tailor your leadership to fit their needs, which is a lot about like what you were saying. So I would not consider myself to be a great leader because I think that anybody that puts himself on a pedestal and says, I'm really good at this, has probably has a lot of work to do. I mean, you just don't, you can't reach the finish line when you say it's there. You reach the finish line when it's actually the finish line. It'd be like pulling up in a marathon when you're tired because you decide that this is as far as you want to run. Like that, you don't get to determine where that is, and the only finish line is the success of your entire team, every single person in it. So I guess I've learned lately that you turn all the screws, you lead all the people, you do your best to understand the team as a unit, lead them all individually, and you don't get to decide when you walk away. The only thing that decides that is that the mission's complete and you've reached the finish line, and every single person on the team is happy and successful. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Nah, dude.
You're never done learning.
Yeah, and it makes
Correct.
perfect sense.
Yeah, you're right.
And the other part that I really liked is the talking about if you think that you're the best leader and you put yourself on this pedestal of being the best leader, you probably got a lot of work to do. Because the shittiest leaders that I've ever had thought they were the fucking best leader.
Right.
And the best individual since fucking sliced bread.
Like, I don't even think I'm a good leader. I don't.
Yeah.
I think I'm more of a good, like, I don't even know, peer. I don't think I'm a very good leader. I don't think I have the personality to lead. You usually more lead by action instead of, sometimes I just don't even, maybe because I'm selfish, but maybe I just don't want to be a leader. Maybe I just want to be a follower, because
Dude,
I've done much better as a follower in my life so
And a
far.
lot of people-
and maybe it's because I've never.
That's the thing, though. A lot of times when you're following and following well, you're actually leading.
Exactly. And a lot of people that don't want to be leaders are some of the best leaders, because they are cognizant enough to not try to lead, but to just do the work. And when other people see you doing the work, they want to work as hard or harder, because they know, like, hey, I fucking keep up with this guy. Like, this dude's putting in the fucking work, and I've got to keep up, or I'm going to get left behind. And I can't afford to get left behind. And I can't afford, like, when I see guys in the gym, especially from my squad, if I see one of the guys in my squad working out after work, I'm like, God damn, I got to fucking go work out. Because I can't be the weakest member of my squad. I don't want to be the guy that holds my team up, my element up, my platoon up, right? I don't want to be that guy. And so even though this guy might be, the lowest guy on the totem pole, him working hard and just simply following and doing the right things
Makes him an example.
elevates the rest of the team, and therefore making that person a leader. And I think a lot of people are leaders that don't even realize it. And a lot of people, are mentors that don't even realize it. And I tell this to people all the time. I'm like, you always have to assume that you're mentoring the person that you're in conversation with. Like, that they're going to take some piece of the conversation. Otherwise, why are you having the conversation? Like, even when we just sit around and bullshit, like, there's so much to be learned from other people. And if you're not listening and, like, excited to learn, then what are you doing?
Yeah, I
be
mean,
excited.
Perfect point. I didn't even think of it that way. I'm just like, in my role in the company, I'm by myself most of the time, and I don't lead anybody under me. Do I necessarily want to at this point? Not really, but maybe my peers look at it and go, wow, maybe he does that well or does this well.
Yeah.
But I've never thought of it that way, that you can be a better leader as a follower. Or, I've always tried to set, I always try to lead with actions, not words. I mean, even in sports and everything,
Dude, it's
you're
the
a
most
team
powerful way.
You're a team captain,
agree.
but it was just like, I was never the rah-rah type. Like, I was never the talking type. I mean, you can kind of see I keep going like, oh, what the fuck's that word?
Yeah.
But, I've always been, if we can have a casual conversation like this, like even in the Marine Corps, I wasn't good at like disciplining. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, man? You're so fucking dumb. Why would you go?
You're almost more upset about the fact that they made you discipline them than what they actually did.
Not me. I'm a disciplined. I get down to the business.
Whatever you say, baby spoon.
Hey,
Like, I'm like now that I'm in E7, I'm like a cross between the discipline and not, because like I can't go discipline one of the privates, or one of the specialists. Like, it's not my job to do that. I discipline my squad leaders.
right.
And when I discipline them, it's a big snowball that's coming down at you.
Absolutely.
And that's my expectation. But like, I've learned some things now where like, I tremendously hold my squad leaders accountable. And like, one of the greatest things that I've learned as a leader is holding people that I've given leadership to, right? So like, I tell them when they show up in my platoon, I'm like, you're one of my squad leaders. I'm giving you the power to lead, and I'll take that shit away from you. And if you think that you're a leader just because the Army said that you can be promoted to E6, staff sergeant squad leader, like, bullshit.
I was harder
I'm
on
your
my squad
father.
leaders than I was when I was in E5 on my privates.
Yeah.
I was harder on my squad leaders.
Yeah.
I was a dick.
And that's how you have to be.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that should be that way. We both read Extreme Ownership.
Yeah.
And I never had words to put with it, but I've always kind of felt that way. Like, if take a company, for example, if you go out and you start a company and that didn't exist before you decided to create it, you've set that thing in motion. So literally every single thing, every minute, everything that happens from that point forward is your fault. 100%. Because you threw that rock in the lake that resulted in that ripple effect. And no matter how big it grows, it doesn't change the fact that you put that in motion. So every single thing that happens from that point until the time you decide to sell, go out of business, exit, whatever it is all your responsibility. So that's been a huge, in terms of lessons, that's been another one too. Is it like, just like you're talking about with being harder on your squad leaders, it's because you understand that all the way down to that E1 guy, it's still, it's a result of things that you did. If he's not led properly by his squad leader, it's because you didn't lead his squad leader properly. So as the person especially at the top of the food chain, you need to understand that every single decision, like when one of your guys messes up, or gals, I don't want to be sexist, but when one of your employees messes up, it's your fault, because people want to succeed. Everybody wants to do well at whatever it is they do. So if they blew it, it's because you didn't explain the importance of the situation. Maybe you didn't outline what success meant. Maybe you didn't provide the appropriate training, the appropriate supplies, the appropriate tools in my case, or whatever. But it's always, every failure is your fault. And until you take ownership of all of that shit, you don't really belong at the top. And I say that, like, it's hyperbole, but I fuck it up all the time. I'll get mad at people that are, on the technical level or in the office level for their shortcomings. And then at some point I'll be laying in bed and I'll be going, what am I talking about? This all comes back to me. This is my fault. From the beginning, this is my fault. So I think that's a big one too. Take ownership.
Dude, it absolutely is. And you have to apply that ownership to the people above you.
Yeah.
So it's
expected of them.
It's exactly and not expecting them necessarily to take ownership, because some people will drive the bus over you as fucking hard as they can, back that bitch up a couple of times, right? But I require of my leadership things that, and I tell them, I'm like, I expect this from you. I expect to get this information and this quality of information and this quality product. If I'm not receiving that, then I ask for it and I ask for it and I ask for it until they're fucking hating me from asking for it, and they finally produce a product that is, sufficient of what it needs to be based on what I'm looking for. And if you hold them accountable to that and hold your peers and the people below you accountable, you're just going to raise the whole team. It doesn't matter. But what kind of came up a couple of times now in the talk, and we had talked about it earlier, and I'm actually going to turn this into a 2-part podcast. So this is going to be a Monday episode followed by a Monday episode, because I'm going to divide the first part from the leadership part.
So you're gonna divide the bullshit from the drunken leadership talk.
Yeah, because
That's very clever.
Because I want to get into something that fucking has driven me nuts, and I haven't had the opportunity yet to voice my opinion on the podcast about it.
Buckle up.
Yeah, because it's about to get real. Stop with the fucking awards for showing up.
He's gonna go full flat earth.
Flat Earth is coming, baby.
But leadership.
Full circle.
No, I'm talking
Vice President of Mars.
I'm talking participation trophies.
Oh, Jesus.
Like,
We never got any of that.
we need to get rid of that shit. Yeah, when I played sports, if you weren't on the podium, you didn't get shit.
Yeah.
Sorry. Tough luck, tough love, work harder, get better.
You got the fucking uniform that you.
But now if you show up, show up, dude, you're getting like a fucking participation plaque, a medal, freaking 2 T-shirts, a hooded sweatshirt. Like, you're getting the world and why. Like, we aren't teaching people how to fail. And you have to fail.
Yes.
Like,
It's confusing,
in life,
man. It's confusing as kids.
Failure's great. It's fucking great.
It's how you learn.
Yeah.
If you've never failed in your life, like, how do you learn anything?
I'm getting so pissed off right now.
I'm so excited. This is amazing.
I hate it. I hate that they just give this shit away like candy. It's like trick or treat, knock knock. Hi, can I have my medal? Like, that's what I should give out for Halloween this year.
Medals.
Fucking medals.
Yeah.
Thanks for participating in trick or treating. Like a bunch of blue ribbons. If I can get them done, I'm fucking doing it. Like,
Oh, so we don't get medals for this podcast?
I'm gonna have to order medals.
That's the only reason why I came here.
I'm gonna have to order medals.
So what are you going to do for your son or daughter, Will? Like, that's the thing
I'm gonna take that shit away from them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you do?
100%.
Yeah, I will. If my son or daughter does not place on the podium, I'm taking the medal away.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they can have that participation medal when they get on the podium.
Yeah.
Because then they're going to get a new one that's got first, second, or third where they belong.
So what if they don't have a championship?
Then they try again next
Then,
year.
yeah, keep trying.
So
Right? Because
that's
someday
where-
they'll succeed. Like, that's why I believe I succeeded, is that I never made it on the podium. Like,
But
in my
hang on a
entire...
second. That's a fair point.
Yeah.
So let's say, like, if nobody's keeping score, there's no championships, there's no wins, there's no losses, and they give everybody a trophy. What happens when your kid wins and they get the same trophy as everybody else?
Yeah, they probably don't have the same desire to fucking keep achieving at that level or to, like, keep working hard. 'cause
What
they're
about
gonna get an award.
marathons and stuff? Why does everybody get a medal at a marathon?
Everybody gets a medal at a marathon.
Why
It's a
is that?
participation medal. It is a participation medal. Like, I got the T-shirt, too.
Yeah.
So
Like,
that I showed up.
That's the thing. Like, people, I don't know. I
They
think
do
it's,
it for the medal.
I think there's things you do and you don't. I mean, who's to say that that gal who just finished the marathon didn't make huge life changes, and that medal means more to them.
That medal shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be what defines
an
them.
object.
Their
It's
life
not,
changes should be what defines them, right?
I understand giving a T-shirt out for a marathon, but not a fucking medal to everybody.
But that's the thing. Like we said in leadership, everybody's different.
They are. You're right.
Participation trophies aren't. But participation trophies aren't new.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm not saying,
and I like it. You got me thinking. You got my brain just a
we just went through this on a leadership
but
perspective.
Hold up.
Yeah.
So like if
I like
my
it,
big thing is that you have to separate the participation trophy. The point I was trying to get at, and I figured you'd grab it because I think that there was participation trophies when we were kids.
Yeah.
I'm almost 40 years old. I'm 39. I got participation ribbons for a bunch of wrestling tournaments when I was a little kid.
Yep.
And they said participant. They didn't say that you took a place. They gave those ribbons out so everybody got something, and you
get your money's worth.
But you can debate the merits of whether or not that makes any sense. But they still gave first, second, third place medals.
Yeah. And now you're getting the same medal at a lot of shit.
That's the problem.
I don't think Will's
It's
arguing
okay to
the
give
fact
people
that you give out medals for participation. I think he's arguing the fact that there are some schools or organizations that don't give that first, second, and third.
That's
to
the problem.
winner.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
Everybody gets the same thing.
You need to
That's the point I'm trying to make.
You need to
identify the
identify that hard work was put in and those people have achieved something. And that is what drives me fucking nuts.
Everybody in the marathon can get a medal, but
that's
first,
the point I'm trying to
second,
make.
and third person should get that extra
They
something.
get a check.
Absolutely.
In a marathon, they get a check.
Yeah, whatever.
They get paid.
You know.
Some of them they don't though.
True. But all I'm saying is that
again, if I
you
feel
can't
like,
vilify
hey,
the participation trophy. The issue isn't that they give out. The issue isn't that they gave a trophy to the person that finished 25th. It's the fact that they didn't allow the person who won to win.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Like-
if your feelings are hurt that you didn't get that first, second, and third or participation medal, work your ass off for that next year and go fucking get it next year.
Dude, I came up. So High Cliff half Ironman. I PR'd. I blew my PR out of the water by like almost an hour, and I was so proud, right? And I went and checked the leaders board to see if I made it on the podium. I finished fourth by less than a minute, right? And this is it was like a 5-hour race. And I finished fourth. It's a half Ironman. So, I mean, it's long as fuck. So to have it come down to less than a minute, and it gave me this drive and desire to achieve that was so stupid high because I couldn't even be third place. I didn't care about being first. I wanted to be on the damn podium. I had never been on the podium for a half Ironman. And guess what? I still haven't been on the podium for a half Ironman, but I have a hunger that I wouldn't have otherwise had I have gotten the same thing as the guy who stood in third place.
Yeah, but you're a different breed.
You psychoanalyze your race too. At that point, you wonder where else could you have gone? Like
where could I have shaved
where
a
could
minute?
you have pushed
and
harder?
I found a dozen places that I could have pushed
but
harder.
you're
That's
a different
good.
breed and you think differently than these
I think-
regular people nowadays.
But I think that it has a lot to do with the fact that, like, when I was growing up, I didn't get the same medal as third place.
Absolutely.
So when I wrestled growing up, and I wasn't on the podium, and I sat and watched everybody else have their hands raised and hold up the wrestling chart
dude, that
of
sucks.
fucking being in first place, and you sit there and watch them, it builds this anger inside of you that I finally learned how to channel to put in the work outside that has made me successful and made me have the drive day after day after day to grind and put in the hard work.
And everybody should go through that.
And I think that we're fucking not letting kids have that because we're giving them all the same exact award.
I'm so excited for Connor to wrestle this winter.
Dude, fuck yeah, I'm coming. Well, I won't be able to come this winter.
So
'cause I'll
you're going to be
gone,
the
but-
one to give your kid a participation award and be like, it's
Yeah,
okay,
are you gonna let
buddy.
him have it?
He has him, and he's very proud of him. And that's
Yeah.
the thing. I look at it as to see his growth. He has him lined up from his years of playing baseball. His first year of baseball, he didn't hit the ball. Second year of baseball, he started hitting the ball. Third
But he got
year
the
of
same
baseball,
award as guys who were hitting the ball.
They don't have championships, so it doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
So,
That-
but
I think that's an issue,
Think
though.
of this, though.
Yeah,
what
they have-
drive?
There's 6, 7. And
Okay, actually,
8.
But
let
you
me
need to
back
have-
up.
you
Let me
need to
back
have
up.
a championship.
Do you keep
And it's
score?
coach pitch.
Do they keep score?
They did this past fall, but he's
Okay.
playing with 8th graders.
So
and-
I have a bigger issue. I think that keeping score is more important than actually giving out trophies or anything like. The trophies are kind of silly.
Oh,
I think-
actually, no. We kept score.
Yeah, so I think keeping score is a bigger deal because you have to learn to win and you have to learn to
Absolutely.
lose.
And
That's the
then-
big
so
one.
Have to.
Does your son have that drive to win, or does he have that drive just to go out and get that participation trophy?
And that's where I'm excited to see it this winter, is to see if that kind of instills anything in him, because baseball is, it's fun for him. I want to see what wrestling does to his to his mentality.
Yeah, it's very different.
But I think
It's a very
Baseball's
it's one
something to do with your friends. Wrestling is something to do with
I
your
think
whole,
if
your
a
heart
kid
and your
goes
soul.
through a loss, he'll have that drive to say, "Hey, we're
And
going next year."
Some will,
Yeah, well,
and
that's
some won't.
win.
And absolutely,
But some won't.
But those are the kids that aren't going to make it to college and wrestle or high school.
Right, but
They
the-
go on to do science.
Look, man,
projects.
right, and that's okay.
I hope
But that's
he
the
does.
point.
He's really good at math.
Yeah, that's where you want your
Hey,
kids to be. Like my whole thing is that, like
if he gets Nobel Prize, I'm proud of him.
Yeah.
Everybody's.
But I want him
meant
to
do
want to get the
something.
Nobel Prize and not to want to work for the guy who's getting the Nobel Prize.
Yeah, just to
sometimes
be
losing-
mentioned in the
Like-
magazine article.
Like me, I'm gonna be the guy on the cover with the Nobel Prize.
Right, not
and
mentioned.
I'm gonna have 50 people that worked under me to get me that thing.
Yeah.
You're not winning the Nobel Prize, bro.
No, I know I'm not because I'm
Just
not,
wanted to point that out.
I'm not a good enough.
The guy who's
fucking
winning it
leader.
this year is like on black holes or some shit. So.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
goes back to the
probably
basics
believes in the
of
flat
winning and
planet.
losing.
Yeah. But it goes back.
No,
to,
no, it does. You have to learn to win and lose. That I think that. Now, it doesn't matter that your kid gets a trophy for not winning or not. I don't think it matters. But I think keeping score in the games is a much bigger deal. I think,
And-
they
I think
learn-
both are important.
His summer team, they weren't that good. His fall team this year, they were very, very good. But, that's the thing with that I'm excited to see is how he deals with those one-on-one matchups, and he physically
Yeah.
sees that kid standing on the podium. Where in baseball, it was like,
dude, team sports are tricky.
yeah,
I think,
They're really
I
tricky.
think nowadays people are afraid to let their kids down and go through some adversity.
That's what I think it is too. They're
So
afraid to let their
sorry.
kid lose and go
Like,
through the
if
failure and
fucking
have your kid
is
cry.
not as good as the next kid.
Okay,
you
but-
either fucking train him up and do it, or
Let him-
go on to
let
do a
him-
math
Look,
project.
Let him throw the
agree.
temper tantrum. Like
I-
let
I-
him lose and throw that temper tantrum
Absolutely.
and
Dude,
then learn
when it's,
from it.
when if it's wrestling or it's boxing or
Let
it's
him lose
track
some
and
sleep.
or it's track and
Yeah.
field or it's whatever. Like any of those individual sports, I 100% agree with that. But here's the other issue. So I go. This goes all the way back to Little League, right? Like I'm what are you 11, 12 years old when you're playing Little League?
Something like that. Yeah.
I had like the most typical like success story of a Little League baseball team, right? Like we were terrible. We were all really young. We were one of the younger teams. Little League is 3 or 4 years. 3 years? I think it's
don't know.
3 years.
I think it's everywhere.
I think it's like
different
9 to
around the country.
12.
Yeah,
Well,
something like
where I
that.
was, I
9 to
want to say
12.
it's like 9 to 12.
Something like that, yeah.
Well, look at a 9-year-old and then look at a 12-year-old. You're barely even looking at the same species,
Correct.
right? You mature a ton in that short period of time. So we had this team that we were all 9-year-olds, like when we first started together, but we played together as a team and we learned and, we figured out how to
Yeah.
play baseball. And by the time we were 12-year-olds still playing in Little League, we literally 10-run ruled almost every single team that we played. Like it wasn't even close. We just dominated. We didn't lose a single game.
I see. I wish they'd get rid of the 10-run rule. Rack that
Let them get
bitch up.
obliterated.
Yeah.
Like, rack
25
that
to
score
0.
up.
And I agree with
I
that. but
love the Patriots, and they were just blowing teams out. And they're like, "Why doesn't Bill Belichick have
I
any
feel like there's
sympathy?" And
gonna
I
be
was
a
like,
big
"Let him
butt
run this
here.
score."
I don't disagree with
there
that.
a big butt?
But here's the thing. I was on that team. I never lost a single game. We kicked everybody's ass. We 10-run ruled everyone. We had a
Yeah.
stack of trophies and a stack of medals.
Okay.
Was I better than every player on every team that lost?
No, God no.
Not even close. As a matter of fact, I was like one of the lower tier guys on our team.
Yeah.
Like, I could hit the ball and that was it. So like, it was. Do I deserve to
But I think-
feel that much better than
I
kids
think-
who were far better at baseball
But
than me?
I would argue the fact that like when you guys were 9 and you took the ass kicking every fucking week, you got whooped, and you were the team that was
Correct.
getting the 10-run. You went out and you worked harder. You played fetch with your dad or fetch catch.
And then these fucking kids
Or we
grow
just
up.
grew. Or we just
These-
got bigger and stronger
These
at
kids
a faster
grow
rate
up,
than everybody else.
and for example, they go in the Army and they want to go to Ranger School and they fucking feel like they deserve a fucking certificate.
And they get
But
washed
they-
out by
yeah,
day 3.
Or they want to be a fucking Navy SEAL.
And they get
Right.
washed
But-
out.
Okay, so why in the Navy SEALs or Army Rangers or Special Forces, the best of the best can only make it through, and that's like your trophy, your award is that tab.
Yeah. It's
But as a
absolutely-
kid, you can't go through that because you're going to be butthurt.
No, I still think it's different, man. I mean, you're dealing
No,
with
it's
you're
the
dealing
same
with
principle.
you're dealing with the kind of personality. It's the same principle, but you're not dealing with the same people. You can't compare a 9-year-old to an 18-year-old.
I wanted to have this conversation so bad.
It's
I'm
two different
loving it.
things. Like that's my thing.
But in their time of life, it's the same thing. An 18-year-old
Emotionally, it's the same thing.
Yes. So an 18-year-old is going to go through something because they're ready at 18 to go through that point in
Fair.
time in their life. A 9-year-old is ready to go through that because they're ready to go through that point in time in their life.
right.
Yeah.
But if you don't go through it as a 9-year-old and get lost or let down, you're going to be that 18-year-old that thinks you're going to get a fucking handout.
Dude,
Fair.
I got so sick of losing. Like I would go to wrestling tournaments and I would take dead last place. Dead last.
Not
like,
surprised.
and I would just get pinned. I'd get pinned and pinned and pinned. And I was like,
I can see that.
I was like a little. I was honestly like I was a little bitch back growing up. Like I
makes sense.
lost all of the time, and I was like, and my dad would give me these lectures about working harder, and I would be like, yeah, buzz off, and I didn't put in any work, and then it just clicked to me like I need to work, and I would get up early, and I was doing 2-a-days, and I would come home after practice, and after every loss, I would add a mile to the run that night of losing, and by the end of a season, I was putting in 13 miles after I would lose a night because I had 13 losses on the season, or 14 miles, and at freaking 18 years old, 17 years old, that's a lot of miles to log, and I used to just be super bitter about losing, and it was because I had finally reached a point of watching everybody else be victorious that I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna be victorious. And that was what like changed my attitude about the way that I work out. And I think that you've got to lose. Like you have to lose. And it's got to be known that you lost. Like it's got to be a raw fact that you lost.
I agree.
So take all the winning and losing out of the equation and the trophies. Okay, fuck the trophies, right?
Yeah.
Winning and losing. It goes down to the principles of life. So say if you're a 9-year-old and you keep losing at a baseball tournament or wrestling. So let's say wrestling because it's one-on-one. You have to single-handedly work hard to win.
Yeah.
Because you're one-on-one.
I think that's the best. That's the best equation.
So you have a
analogy for
9-year-old
life.
that's wrestling, and he keeps losing every year, and hard work and dedication gets him to that podium. Now it's the same thing as Apex Heat and Air. Hard work in that company is going to get him to that next level in the company or to the next AC unit. If he doesn't get that hard work instilled in his life, who's to say he's going to fucking work hard at a regular job at Walmart as a cashier?
Yeah.
No, you're right. Work ethic is everything. That's where it all begins and
So
ends.
take all the first place and second place. It's just you need to learn to lose and have that hard work ethic. And
Well, that's a good point. But that sets aside all this shit. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter participation trophies, keeping score, whatever. I mean,
So
the
that
one
comes
common
down to
denominator in
you-
everybody who succeeds, whether it's in Little League baseball or
so it comes down to
business,
you giving a
is hard
handout
work.
to your kid, saying, "Hey, here's a fucking handout because you participated. Let me pat you on the back." And then when he's 18, working at Walmart, he can get a fucking handout. He thinks he's going to get a handout working as a cashier.
Look, but I
Which
do
is
think
not.
I do think there's a big difference between sitting down and having that conversation with your kid and like snatching that trophy away and being like, "Can't have this, bitch."
Right.
Like that's a different thing.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with them handing these things out. I have an issue with the parents that then put that bitch on the refrigerator.
The one that
and
cater to them.
and act as though they accomplished something big when they didn't. It's
like
up to
a
the parents.
reminder
'Cause, you
you're
can't
not
expect Little League
first.
baseball to parent your kids. You can't ask the teachers to parent your kids. Listen to me talking.
I'd be that
shit about
parent
parenting
that put it on
kids.
the fridge and say, "You fucking lost. So you're going to see this shit every day to work harder."
Yeah,
for
and you
next
got to
year."
remind them
Yeah.
that they weren't first.
Yeah.
Or maybe baseball, in this analogy, whatever, isn't for them. That's cool
Absolutely.
too.
Yeah,
But the problem is if you
I
let
wanna
somebody
do
live an
something
delusional
else.
lifestyle and believe that they're good at something that they're not, maybe they stick with something that
If
they
you
don't
want
belong
to do
doing for too
science,
long.
win the damn science fair.
Right.
Like build the best volcano. Check.
Right. But all of us, if you're about to have a kid, Dan, you want to have kids, Chris, you got a kid already. Like seeing your kid pour their heart into something has to be a much bigger deal than whether they win or lost.
Absolutely.
But
You know,
that's hard
watching,
work.
watching them
If
put
they
out.
pour their heart into it, they put in the hard work, and I can watch my kid then lose putting in the hard work.
Because you know they did their best.
So at that point,
Yeah.
if they left it all on the field and they gave it everything they had, and in between the last game and this game, they gave everything
Still
that they
doesn't
could to
mean they
possibly
deserve a
improve.
trophy.
They may not, but are you telling me that you're going to say at that point that you still failed, or are you going to? Or
It's
you
not
telling me
win or
you're not-
fail. It just means you wasn't first, second, or third.
Right,
And
exactly.
and
But you're still going to look at your
this
kid if they
I will say,
absolutely reach 100% of their potential.
great effort, but you know what? That kid's been doing it for 2 weeks. He's been putting in the
And
hard
it's-
work that you put in the last 7
It's
days.
okay to
He's been doing
say
it for
you
14.
did your best, but that kid is better.
Yeah.
Your kid's not
'Cause
going to
of
be the best
genetics.
at everything.
Yeah.
Genetics
So why
exist.
lie to
Or
them and
whatever.
say, "Hey,
That's a big thing.
You know,
Stop lying to your kids.
you
like-
did your best. You did great. I'm so proud of you. You're at the top of my totem pole because you
Right.
did your best. But that kid was truly better than you,
Right.
and that's how life works."
You want to know what the greatest part
Fact.
about this conversation is?
None of us have kids besides you.
No, it's all about leadership.
There
How
it
do you
is,
lead
man.
your kids?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
that's-
have kids, but I have
I-
nieces and nephew. I have a goddaughter, and I do
Yeah.
the same thing to them.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm
They all got
You
Red Ryder
should.
BB guns.
I'm telling you, they all have Ranger tabs.
and that's the thing.
Buy that shit for $250 at the store and give it to him.
We all may disagree on
I
stuff.
can get a Ranger tab, dude.
But we
Cool.
can all do it differently. Like,
Yeah.
Dan doesn't want to do the participation trophies, but I look at I look at Connor and I look at those trophies, and like I said, I see his potential every year, and he's put in hard work. He's gone and hit a ball off a tee into my tarp. Like,
Yeah.
he's done that. He's put in the work, and those trophies aren't. I mean, he likes them. He's a kid, so what?
Absolutely. And
That's my, and you know, we can agree to disagree on that.
And kids
and
will-
I don't care. That trophy means nothing to me, but it means everything to him. Like, oh, I got a trophy, and it's like baseball teaches you to fail. He knows he's failed, and that's why he's put in the work.
And that's the difference, right? So, like, he knows that he's failed, and therefore now he's out in the yard hitting the ball into the tarp.
But see, that's a different.
And so
that's
a lot of
different
kids don't
scenario.
do that.
Like your kid can differ the fact that he just has a participation trophy and the first place trophy, but 80% of the kids out there are going to be like,
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not going to work hard just to
95%.
get that trophy
Trophy,
next
yeah.
year. Participation.
95%.
So not a lot of people are going to act like. I don't have a problem with participation trophies per se. I have a problem with how the adults perceive their
it.
kids
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
and
I
show the
misunderstood you there.
kids.
It's like
How it is.
It's like Rudy, right?
Yeah.
Rudy, like everybody's seen the movie Rudy
Absolutely.
or heard about it or heard about him, right? And like he's just a story of hard work. Like,
Right.
Dude, I want to make so many comments right now. You probably don't want me to.
no, make your comments. I don't give a shit because I like the concept of the story. Whether
The
you,
concept of the story is great.
Rudy's a
Yeah.
conspiracy theory.
yeah,
No,
Fact.
Rudy doesn't fulfill his
Participation- let's say
responsibilities.
this.
That's all I'm going to say.
Participation medals are great for morale, but it's not going to get your kid to the next level.
yeah.
You know, they need to learn the
They
difference.
can only take themselves, or you can.
Dude,
you can
and-
help
Yeah.
them to achieve.
And when it gets to adulthood, you can't be there to hold their hand anymore.
Absolutely.
And so you need to accept the fact now and start pushing them today
be their own person.
to be their own person, to be better,
And
to
learn to get back on
understand
their feet.
and
Yeah.
understand what it means to be second, to not be the best,
Right.
and to know that like if you want to be better than the person, all you need to do is outwork them, and eventually you'll build the skill set to beat them. And good on you. If you outwork them and you beat them, fuck it. Like you just did it. Start picking the next guy and fucking work. And eventually hard work will always fucking pay off. Like you get the LeBron Jameses, I get it, who like phenoms, but I promise you that motherfucker still put in some serious time.
Oh, for
To
sure,
be
man.
at that level at the top
He's
podium, you still need to put in work.
Yeah, you got to be obsessed to get that level at anything. You have to be obsessed. It's kind of funny because, like, you know, Chris and all your brothers, or at least the ones that were involved in athletics, we were polar opposites. I was the guy that had a tremendous amount of athletic ability when I was young, but no work ethic, none. And I don't mean I didn't lift weights. I did the physical work, and it's hard for me to say that because I was the dude that worked out all summer long. I was the guy that put in the run miles. I put in the weights. I did all the agility drills. I busted my ass physically. But what I didn't do is study fucking playbooks. You know, if I had an understanding, if I really understood football, like if I really understood blocking schemes and I really actually took time to break down defenses and figure out what I needed to do better and understand the game, I would have been a stud because I had the ability. I was fast. I was explosive. I was strong.
NFL.
Yeah, there's
here
no
we
way,
go.
man. There was no way that I was even going to be college because I didn't give a shit about the part of the sport that I didn't like. It was really convenient to say, "Oh, I hit the weights every single week," you know, or every day, 5 days a week, whatever it is. I hit the weights, I do the runs, I put in the miles, I put in the workouts. Well, that was easy. I like doing that. When real discipline is doing the shit you don't want to do, and that's when the work ethic kicks in. If you have a work ethic, that means that you do the shit that you have no interest in doing, and you do it just as hard as the stuff you want to do. I wanted to lift weights. That was fun. But I didn't want to study playbooks. I'm not interested in that. I didn't want to understand the game better.
So if your parents would have pushed you in 6th grade to do playbooks and stuff like that,
maybe I would have been different.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. Different parenting. I can't ever say better parenting because, dude, I was perfectly parented. My mom and my dad were the shit. I've nothing. They could have improved nothing. But I contrast that with Chris's athletic career when he was going through high school. His older brother, like, you guys weren't as athletically gifted as I was, but you worked your fucking balls off learning to play the game well. Every one of you did. You figured out, you paid attention to it. You put in the same amount of work in the weight room. You put in the same amount of work getting better. And even though you probably didn't have the same natural gifts, you had
and
a
if
broader
he would have done the
work.
playbooks more than you, he would have succeeded way more than you. Not saying that you're not better than him physically or whatever, but that's just how it works with 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place.
Right.
Yeah,
It's the
those guys
fucking
putting the most
that
work.
you put
No,
in.
no, these guys are
he
way
can
better
be-
athletes than I was,
so you can
for
be
sure.
the top-notch athletic guy in the gym, but he fucking knows A routes, B routes, or beat gaps, A gaps.
Right,
and
right.
still makes that college level, and
Yeah.
you'd be fucking stuck in high school.
Look, it's no surprise that the only sport that I excelled at was track and field.
So that's what goes back to a 9-year-old
Jump out of the
with
gym.
this fucking
but didn't know how to
participation.
play the-
That's what
And
I'm
you
saying.
need to learn. You need
we're,
to teach
we're,
them.
we're same page.
Yeah.
That
No, I think
fucking
everybody's on
one-
the same page, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
No,
I
I agree.
I think it's just different. I think it's just different spins on the same concept.
And what Chris said, a lot of it comes back to that root leadership.
Yeah.
Right.
Comes back to the way you were raised, the way you were led, by those early coaches, the early mentors, your parents. All of that has a lot and a huge significance in the way that you turn out with how you see competition and your desire to either be first or accept whatever the result is going
Yeah.
to be.
My dad called out every failure I had growing up, and he would make me do the craziest shit. Like I would stand at attention in the fucking living room. I would do push-ups, and I don't think I would have ever graduated anything in the military if it wasn't for my father pushing me as a young kid, like 5 years old, fucking touching noses with my brother because we fight. We had to touch each other's noses for 20 minutes, something stupid like that. My dad called out every
Give
one
me
of my
one of
failures.
those pictures.
Every one of my failures, my dad called out and
Yeah.
made me do something about it.
Yeah.
So, I
Dude,
would
now
do
you
the
don't
same thing
hesitate
my
to call
kids.
somebody else's
Ah,
out
fuck
either.
no.
Yeah.
I don't have no feelings.
Yeah. I love it. That's why he can get all his fingers chopped off.
Or his eyelids.
Yeah. No, he
say
already
that.
said eyelids. He'd start
That's
talking.
right. Draw a
that's
line.
Right. That's right. You want?
That's
I'd
right.
rather have.
Yeah, the eyelids. The eyelids fucked me up less than the toenails, man. I'm telling you. I don't know why.
I got
that
a
is.
fucked up mind. I got some fucked up shit I can say. Let's just say that.
Manchester.
Hey, you talking about dicks to razor blades to dicks?
Yeah.
Too easy. Too easy. Too obvious.
All right. Well, I think we wrap it up with this. This is 2+ hours. Now we're at like 2 hours and 8 minutes. So I'm gonna turn this into
Jesus Christ.
I'm gonna turn this into a double episode. The not so serious versus the serious side of things. So, anybody got anything they want to add before we shut her down for the night? Because I'm all out of beer.
Next time, let's do the serious part before we drink a half bottle of Jameson.
Yeah, we're running out of shit here.
No, we should do a sequel.
Sequel, not a caveat.
Yeah.
No, it's a caveat. I want to title this like caveat 2, probably.
You're not in the small spoon group, so you wouldn't fucking know.
Even though you know he's small.
You guys have your own vernacular.
absolutely.
Like,
We'll
you
do
know
it. We'll
he's
do a
small-
You know he's a
dichotomy.
big fucking softy.
Yeah.
Calling this girl,
Farfignugan.
hey,
What the
baby.
fuck? We're just saying big words? What are we doing here?
He just moves his butt in. He's like,
Yeah, absolutely. He just scooches over at midnight when she's half asleep. When she's or in her REM sleep, and he pulls over. Spoon me, baby. Yeah.
I'm the little.
Put your arm over me. What are you doing?
I'm not saying nothing.
What are we talking about?
I'm pretty sure we're
Jason
talking
being the fucking small spoon.
Facts.
That's what
We're
we're
talking about facts.
Hey.
Butt ass naked. Scooting his butt over to
Nah,
his
he
girl.
probably sleeps in sweatpants.
He
and
probably does. Got a sweater on with a cat on it.
How dare you, you asshole. God.
He
That's
got a
just
Labrador
rude.
on his
Thought you guys
fucking
were my
sweater.
friends. Wait a minute, what's wrong with my Labrador sweater?
Yeah.
What's
Fucking
wrong with my sweatpants?
scooting over, getting mad.
And sometimes I get cold at night.
He's like yelling at her because she won't spoon him. He gets seriously pissed and he won't say goodbye to her in the morning because she won't spoon him.
How dare you assume
He's like,
it's a
I'm not
she?
fucking saying bye to her
How
in the
dare
morning.
you.
She didn't
But
fucking
she
You are not
spoon me.
open-minded at all.
But you know he makes breakfast in the morning.
Absolutely. And
do.
leaves a note.
I'd be
You
like-
didn't fucking spoon me.
French press coffee, like
Hey
goes
man,
all out.
hey man, I do
Mickey
make
Mouse.
breakfast in the morning and I do French press my coffee. Thank you very much.
Mickey
Right
Mouse
after
Some
you
goddamn
pancakes.
good coffee.
Right after you were done being the small spoon in your fucking Labrador
Hey, man.
hoodie.
No Labrador sweater, but definitely French press coffee
I
breakfast.
bet you sleep with socks
and no little
on.
spoon.
Oh,
I bet you sleep
that's a
with socks
What is
on.
wrong with you, man?
Yeah,
What is
you
wrong
do.
with you?
Okay.
You fucking sleep with
I'll
socks
weave a
on.
pair of socks
Sock
out of that
sleever.
fat ass beard.
There probably is something in
Manchester.
there. That's so disrespectful. You sleep with socks on. That's disrespect.
Oh man, you know nobody sleeps with socks on.
Man,
What is this?
I'm crying.
Canada?
My wife does.
Fuck out of here.
She sleeps with socks on.
All right, well, no disrespect to your wife. I'll fuck with you all day long,
But
but
it's
I'm not
not
messing
like
with your
sock
wife.
socks. It's like those gushy socks that make her feet soft. It has like the liner on the inside. It's like
Gushy socks.
Well, we've heard it
massage
all.
socks.
We've heard it all now.
Oh,
know
So
massage socks.
we're
You know what I'm talking about?
No, I
It's
don't.
like you get those socks
Will,
from
bro,
Walmart and it
just
has
press
like,
end on this bitch before it
This
gets too
was-
weird.
No, so this was like a 30-minute infomercial where his wife was like, "Fuck it, I'm buying these."
Yeah, it's and it
Like
have
10
like rubber
minutes
on the inside or something, makes your feet soft.
And then they're like lubed on the inside?
Therapeutic socks.
They have lube on them?
This is what happens when you're
Watch,
not.
I'm about to Google this. Don't shut that shit off. Hold on.
This is what happens. What happens when you're not on the podium is you buy soft
Therapeutic socks, and you think it's okay to go.
Where's she? Where's at the bed?
Like,
She takes them off like in the middle of the night. But
Oh wait, bro, you have a foot thing?
no.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I have a dick.
You don't like 'em?
Yeah, right here. Compression foot sleeves. So they make your heel real soft and shit. So stuff like that. It's
Man,
like
my heels are-
therapeutic socks. She
heels
puts lotion on them and like
Is that really
shaves them and then puts them on.
Is that really like socks if the toes are exposed though?
Yeah, right. That just
That's-
seems like it cut your circulation off, make it
that's
so
an
super
ankle.
cold.
What that is, that's an ankle brace.
Yeah, that's an ankle brace.
That's an ankle
That's
brace,
a
guy.
Muay Thai ankle brace if you're a badass.
We just discovered what your wife sleeps in. She sleeps in ankle
Absolutely.
braces.
She's butt ass naked, but she has those socks. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's a little bit weird.
And she'll take them off for like
All that extra
midnight.
traction, you could heel hook that bitch in her sleep. She wouldn't even have to
you're
see it
still
coming.
Hey, at least she doesn't cut me with some rough ass feet.
Yeah, that's
True.
That's a fair
True.
point.
Good call.
Truth, fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
But I hear in midnight fucking taking them shits off and throwing them on the floor.
At least throw them in the hamper,
Hey,
right?
but you ain't
no.
sleeping yet. You're still up watching your fucking
I'm watching
iPad.
That's your iPad.
iPad. Like, what the fuck you doing over there?
Get back the big spoon in me, girl.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't fucking leave your position until I tell you to.
Never leave your spoon, man.
You're covering
I'm
our
fucking
six.
cold now.
You're covering my six.
Now I gotta go get my fucking Labrador sweater out. Gotta be like Jason.
Yeah, facts.
Don't hate. I know what I'm getting for Christmas now.
I was about to say, I know
Yeah,
what I'm getting you for
absolutely.
Christmas.
That's what you should give him as a groomsman gift.
With a fucking
A Labrador
Speedo.
Speedo.
No balls.
Hey, man.
with a big ass
No
sock.
balls. Fuck off.
Fact.
Put a big sock in that bitch.
That's the only way
that's
I
how
wear
I cry.
Speedos. It's the only
That's the
way
only way
I
I
wear
will
Speedos.
wear Speedos.
I'm proud of what I got.
I use a sock.
It's all yours.
I'm proud of what I got, but my wife's not.
I don't have a wife yet, so she can still leave, so I don't want to say that.
Yeah.
I gotta make
Even
my
out-
wife proud. She was like, "Yeah."
The
I'm
nice
with
part
that.
about him leaving today is you don't owe him nearly as much as after you throw the official ring on that thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And once they sign that contract,
yeah.
fucked.
Yeah, then you're fucked.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, everybody. Anybody got anything else?
No, let's get the fuck out of here.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening in. Make sure you buy your Labrador sweaters. We'll probably sell it Forever Unbreakable
I better
edition
get a
here soon.
sponsorship from this shit.
You will. If I start selling Labrador sweaters, I'm hooking you up.
That'd be great with Ranger tabs on
In
the shoulder.
fact. All right. You guys have a good night. Thanks for tuning in. Forever Unbreakable. We're out.